You don't even find houses anymore. This is one of the things that I miss. You find houses only in the suburbs.
Yeah.
This is when you find a house that has a garden and it's on the ground, you know. My morning routine is every day I walk to the park just behind the Petronas Towers.
Yeah.
Close to my place here. And then I take my shoes off and I put my feet on the grass. And then I work from there. If I need to work on something on my computer, I just open my laptop and I work from the grass because I like to have the touch with the ground. But I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. He said, man, I think it has been a year that I don't touch the ground because he lives in a high up building, right? And then from the building, he gets into his car. So the parking lot is also maybe 4th level. And then he drives to the office. And then he parks also in the parking lot that is maybe like the 5th floor. And then he goes to the office that is there's like 24th floor. And then he goes back home. And then that thing keeps on repeating. I said, man, it's been months that I don't really touch the ground. And not even the earth, but like the street outside.
Wow.
Yes, wow, man. That's, yeah. This is where we miss the point.
It plays such a role in, like, I feel when I'm not touching the ground, my stability, the power in my legs is less. I can feel it. It's like every time when I walk, when I'm very grounded, when I'm on the grass, when I'm on the earth, on the first level, there is power. There's power when I step. But when I'm in high rises, like when I was in Switzerland over the holidays for Christmas and for New Year's, we rented an Airbnb. And this Airbnb, the floors, the wood was so loose, you can almost take it out. It's almost shaking, it's so loose. I remember stepping in there and it was so hollow, you can hear it creak and you can hear it from downstairs easily. So I was almost tiptoeing the whole entire time. And for one whole week, we stayed at that Airbnb. And funny thing is, that was also the week that I had a back injury that came from nothing. It came from literally taking off my pants. I took off my pants all the way to my ankle, and then I heard my back pop like 3 times. And I was like, ooh, and it was like painful. And then when I got up, it was like tremendous amount of pressure there. And I was like, whoa, okay, that just happened. It's been a while since that happened. My back had that happen 2 times in the past 5 years. And so I was like, okay. And I was about to go and teach class. So I kind of worked with it. But then looking back, I realized that being in Bali and having the environment really supported my energy and supported my strength and my groundedness. And it's not that the high rise or that unit was terrible for me. It's just that I was having a lot of stress. I was doing a lot of things and I wasn't balancing it out with my body.
That's right. The groundedness is not only the feeling that it gives you, but the contact of the surface of your feet, the skin of your feet with the surface of the earth charges your body with electrons. So if you are stressed or there is inflammation or things that happen throughout the day, you're breathing oxygen and for your body to transform that oxygen into energy, what it do is that you steal an electron from that oxygen. So now you have an oxygen that is unbalanced, attacking your other cells to steal an electron from them. But when you are in a normal situation, you have antioxidants from food. What they do is they give an electron back to the oxygen, so the oxygen is now fine. But if there's inflammation, if there's stress that happens in a normal day, you start to accumulate a lot of that oxygen that is now unbalanced. There's now missing an electron. So now you have a whole gang attacking all the cells, and then you don't have enough electrons to give to those oxygen molecules for them to be chilled. And so when one of the best or the most abundant sources of electrons that we have is the surface of the earth, because the radiation of the sun And also when you have a storm and there's like a thunder that hits the ground, it breaks a lot of the electrons on the surface of the earth, and they are free to flow because the surface of the earth is conductive. And the feet, the not only the skin conduces electricity, but you have the highest density of neural networks. They start on the feet. So that's why when you go for massage, for reflexology, they massage your feet and they say, do you have something on your stomach? Or have you been stressed? And so they know exactly because there's a lot of neural networks, they start on the feet. So it's like you have a bunch of avenues that can receive those electrons from the earth and then shoot them up through your body and then, chill down all those oxygen molecules. And this is what is decreasing inflammation. This is what is decreasing stress. There is even one study that is showing that it can reduce muscle soreness. Just by 20 minutes with your feet on the ground, it may reduce by 25 to 35%. In comparison, they put two groups of people doing leg press, right? And then people got freaking sore the next day. And then one group went to put their feet on the grass or on the sand or in the sea. And then 25 to 35% reduction on the spot of muscle soreness.
They didn't do anything else extra.
No, just the literally grounding. And that's to me, that's the interesting thing, because when you hear about maybe indigenous communities back in the day that connect with the Mother Earth, and then they feel that thing, and then from a left brain perspective, you go like, yeah, this is kind of woo-woo thing, But then when there's science coming to this and explaining, you know what? That is physiological differences. Those guys knew what they're doing. They just didn't have the microscope and the vocabulary to explain that in a scientific way, but they felt it, they knew it. And now we're looking from a scientific perspective and realizing that there is actually, physiological aspects to the grounding, to the contact with the Mother Earth.
And it's interesting how you say that, because imagine a community where this is the way it's always been. So they walk around barefoot very often. They're always grounded. And so there's no need to explain further on why they should do that. It's like, this is the way we've done it. Here is why you can connect to the earth. You need to have your energy flow, and this will make you strong and healthy. And then they feel it. They feel strong and healthy, so they go, okay. So there's no need. There's no
it's the default.
Yeah, but for modern people, it's like, I've never done it this way, and if I do this, it's going to challenge a lot of my way of living. I need all of these explanations to convince me, because and plus at the same time, because they don't experience it, because they're in a place to where they haven't experienced it yet. So it all has to make sense here before they can even give themselves the opportunity to try. Right.
I need to be able to tell this to someone and they won't laugh at me. Right. So this is how I'll allow myself to try something. Because if I tell someone that I'm waking up in the morning and putting my feet on the grass because I'm connecting with the Mother Earth, it will be very hard in the office for people to take me seriously, right? So I need to find a scientific explanation, otherwise I don't even try this. And that is a funny thing, because now, you look at chronic diseases, and then you look at, depression and Alzheimer and all the things that are hitting human beings in a modern life today. And the possible solutions that we are discovering. And the main, most effective solutions are things like wake up and see the sunrise. Get some sunlight on your skin, on your eyes. Put your feet on the ground. Drink water. Move your body. Go to bed when the day gets dark. And it's like
breathe.
People are looking at us and say, wow, they're taking all this amount of money to find this out. Like,
yeah. It's I think people are so they are so detached to what is natural that they need to
Yeah.
be taught again, you know. And I think that is where the culture is moving towards. That's where health and fitness is moving towards what is natural, what was natural, and then now there is a new natural of I don't need to walk, I can just ride the bus or I can just drive. I don't need to be barefoot. I don't want my feet to get dirty. I'll just wear shoes. There's like a new natural, and that new natural is being challenged and going back towards the real natural and how things are. And
Going back. Yeah, I think that's the key. I think the journey to health, we are finding out that is going back to the origins. And then you have, in addition to this, that is a technology. So I was talking to a friend of mine who's called Tim Gray, and he's leading, the whole biohacking movement in the UK. And he was talking, we live in urban centers today, and a lot of us like that lifestyle. A lot of us don't want or don't have the opportunity of going to an organic farm and growing your food and living there. And I respect that. And he says, biohacking with those devices that you get for infrared light exposure. So instead of going out in the sun, you have a device that puts infrared light on your face, right? Or a grounding mat that you connect on the power plug to kind of simulate the earth because you live on the 52nd floor and things like that. We are using money and technology to simulate nature for someone who wants to live in the modern lifestyle. So it's not the ideal way, but it's a way of understanding that at the end of the day, our bodies are designed to connect with nature. Either you connect with nature and live that lifestyle, or you find ways to get as close to this as possible. It's not ideal, but it still gives you puts you in a closer place to the natural state.
when you say not ideal, do you think it is what's your opinion on effectiveness? Do you feel like it's effective, like it's almost like it's replacing the naturalness? Or do you feel like, this is what is claimed, but maybe it's not really doing everything that is, what's your thoughts on that?
So my thoughts on that is a maybe 50 to 70%. If you wear blue light blockers in the evening and you have a device that shoots up infrared light on your face, and then you have this grounding mat that conducts electrons up to your body and this kind of things, you're getting some benefits for sure, and probably maybe 50 to 70%, and that's my own opinion. I don't have data to support that, but 50 to 70% of what you would get in nature. I think we'll never be able to get to the nature state. And the only difference that is a very significant one is that when you are in nature or in an environment that is closer to it, these things are given to you. The grass and the sand or the sunlight or the food or the water, this is given to you. If you are in an urban center, you need to design every single step of it. So you need to plug yourself with stuff. You need to time your morning routine, because now is the time that I plug my infrared goggles, and now is the time that I connect this. So there is a stress element for you to deliver yourself the simulation of nature. When you're in nature, you just receive this. You go outside and get the sunlight. And you don't need to plan, you don't need to plug things in if it doesn't work. So you get benefits for sure from the technology and the adaptations, not as much as nature, but it still adds I need to be like a little robot. I need to time these things, I need to plug these things, I need to plug myself into stuff, and they need to work, and I need 20 minutes for this because I need to go to the next cryotherapy kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so they are better, a lot better, I would say, than the baseline of not doing any of these things, living in the urban center and not doing any of these things. But they don't compare to living closer to nature.
Yeah. And I also find that I agree maximum 50, 70, maybe even less. But it's only because we can only look and go, here is what is missing. Here is nature, and here is what I'm creating, and here is what I can see that is missing. But as we look closer, there's more things that we haven't even thought of or is aware of that is being given, or that is being provided, or nature is affecting us with, that we're not calculating. And so,
yeah, that's a really good point.
And like one of the things I started thinking about this a couple of years ago. I'm trying to think where, I think it was from one book I read, and then the conversation started. The idea that we spend so much time with non-living things. But when we're in nature, everything is alive. When we're in our self-man-made boxes, everything is not alive. And so we are alive, but we are not connecting to anything else that is alive, that is breathing, living, and we're not connected to other energies. And so what happens when an energy being like ourselves is not connected to other energies? There are effects that is beyond most of our understanding, even if we can talk about certain things, but we'll never know the deepest effects. But then when I think about that, it's like we can do what we talked about earlier, scientifically find out what is all the effects, which could take a very long time, or we can just trust that, you know what, let me just go and plug into that natural world as often as possible. That's my take on that. That's actually why I moved to
I think that's a really good point, because we don't know what we don't know.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So for example, just a few years ago, there's this guy called Dr. Zach Bush, and he found out a molecular structure in the soil, but an ancient soil, a type of soil that has been there for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. That in a people living in nature state would eat things that were growing in that soil. They would absorb that type of molecule called terrahydrate. And that is a type of molecule that is kind of imagine as it was like a Bobby the Builder kind of thing. Goes inside your body and starts, cleaning things and healing the gut lining and adjusting the nervous system. Whatever it touches becomes gold kind of thing. And it was something that we didn't know before he started doing that type of research. But then people living in nature and growing their food and eating things from there, we're absorbing those things without even knowing. It just feels good. But then it takes some time for science to figure out, hey, we didn't know about this, and this is very precious. What are other things that we still don't know that we get from being in a natural state? I think that your point is super fair.
Yes. So tell me about how your journey got started going. Was this something that you were always interested in, or did you come across these things one day? Because you definitely have a tremendous amount of exercise fitness background. Tell me how you got started with your fitness journey, and how now it turns into this more holistic health and enhancement of our body and mind. How that started.
For sure. The health, the fitness journey started, but the way it started is not the way that it continued. I am Brazilian, and in Brazil, you usually have two types of kids: the kids that are good in soccer and the kids that are bad in soccer, right? And I was one of the bad ones. And then I just got all that negative type of experience when it came to, physical education classes at school, because physical education classes is basically football, and the teacher puts the best players in the middle of the field, and they play odds or evens, and they start picking the other kids that go to their teams, right? So you have these two captains, and I was always the last one to be picked, and not only the last one because I was really bad. The captain of the team who ended up needing to pick me because I was the last one, they would not hide their disappointment. They said, "Oh man, we got Ronan in our team. What we're gonna do?" Every Wednesday was like that. So I developed this kind of repulsive feeling with anything physical. I just didn't like the physical education classes. And then when I went to high school, I was the guy playing the guitar in the corner instead of playing, team games. But then when I was 18, I entered university, and a couple of friends said, "Man, let's get a tattoo." I said, "All right, let's get a tattoo." But I was so skinny. I was the skinniest and the shortest guy at school ever. And then I said, "Yeah, but I don't have a space to get unless I want to get like a straight line, right? I need to do something about it. So let's go to the gym, build some canvas, so we get a tattoo." So this is how the whole fitness thing started. It was like, I want to get a tattoo.
And that's the first I've ever heard that. Oh man.
Right.
All right.
And then I started going to the gym and lifting weights. And then that led me to be more about nutrition, because it combines with your efforts on the strength training. And that led me to learn a bit more about sleep and recovery, because this is when your body is growing out of these stimulus and the nutrients that you're giving. But at that time still, I wasn't really going deep into it. I just wanted to build muscle, and I was just feeling better. My energy was better. My mind was better, and all this type of things. A few years later, I moved out of Brazil to Paraguay. It's a country in South America. It's the poorest country in South America. And what I did is that I quit engineering. I was a mechanical engineering student. I quit university and I went there to open a not-for-profit organization. So I was volunteering for 2.5 years. And when you volunteer, you don't have money to go to the gym. You don't have money to go to eat good food. And you have in your mindset, it's a very limiting belief, by the way, that you are there trying to save the world, so you don't have time to sleep. Right? So all those habits that I had built from the fitness journey, I just threw them out of the window because I was too busy saving the world. And those 2.5 years that I was volunteering there, even though I was following my dream, was this very inspiring story of opening a not-for-profit, every single day I felt miserable. Every single day. Because I would wake up at 9 a.m. and I would drag myself out of bed. And then I remember I would be first my mind was not there. I would spend a lot of time scrolling on Facebook because it was difficult to focus my mind. And I would be very irritable. I remember this one day that I woke up and then I went to the living room, because this was where me and my team worked. Mm-hmm. And I had a friend who had put his t-shirt on my chair. Man, I flipped out. Such a small thing. He just put his t-shirt on my chair and I flipped out. That was how my nervous system was completely out of balance.
Because that was your chair. And
because it was my chair. And someone
your chair. Oh, shit.
And then I realized, that something was wrong. And when I finished that whole experience, I moved to Malaysia. And here I came back to my habits of exercising, of paying attention to my nutrition, to my recovery as well. And then my personality came back. I was more positive. I was more focused, more productive. My energy was higher. Everything was working well again. I said, wow, there was nothing wrong with me. It was just my lack of attention towards my body that was affecting my mood. It was affecting my intellect. It was affecting my productivity and my own state of being. And then I realized, no, the body goes beyond the body. The body, the mind, the emotions, everything is a system that is all interconnected. So there's something here, and now I want to learn more about it. And then I started diving into science, and I got passionate about these things, and I started learning more and applying more things into my own fitness journey that then transcended the body on its own. It became about my state, my mood, how I relate to other people, my energy through the day, and the things that I can achieve and how I experience something is all about how I relate to, how I take care of my body.
Wow. And in this whole time, did you ever care about like how your body looked? Like you started off just wanting to have more space on your arms for a tattoo. At any point did you go, man, I want to get bigger here, bigger chest, bigger arms, more lean? Would that ever come across as like an important goal for you? Or was it just wanting to feel good and stay general healthy? Or how was that like?
Yes. And I learned a lot of lessons with that. Because in the beginning, when I started my fitness journey, there was a time that I wanted to look better. You know, I was super skinny. I didn't feel confident if I took my shirt out. But I didn't allow myself to have that goal. So when I went to the gym, people ask why you're going to the gym. I would say it's because I want to be healthier. Part of it was true. But that was a taboo, you know. I think a lot of us have a taboo with the body appearance. I wanted to have a muscle that looked good, the body that looked good, and all these kind of things, but I was not allowing myself to have that intention. So it was something that I was hiding. And for years, hiding, it became something that was a bit obsessive after some point. Because it was an intention, it was a desire that I had there, but I didn't give voice. I was not being authentic with it. And then at some point, it was driving my actions, and there was this internal conflict. I was telling everyone and myself that I want to become healthier and more energetic, but there was a part of me that wanted to look better, and that was not giving attention to this. So I started to scream louder and scream louder. At some point, it went to the other way. At some point, all I wanted was to get a six-pack and do a photo shoot, and I did it. But that went to the expense of my quality of life. You know, I was for a couple of months on 5 grams of fat per day and 1,400 calories per day, feeling super shit. My mind was obsessed with food. My life was about the next meal. I finish one meal and I think about the next meal, and life is whatever happens in between. It was a very selfish journey as well. And when I did that photo shoot, I said, wow, I missed the point here. I repressed a desire of looking good because there is a taboo about this. And then that started to scream loud. That made me go over the board with all the priorities and become a little obsessed with that. So at the end, the fitness journey for a time became about the body itself. The whole fitness journey is so my body looks in a specific way. And this is when I think we miss the point of the fitness journey. The fitness journey is not about how I can restrict my life so I get a body that is a specific way. It's more about how I transform my body so I expand my possibilities of expression in life. And what I learned there is that the fitness journey is about how we transform the body to empower, to express, to experience more of your life. But also, there's nothing wrong in wanting to look at yourself and like what you see. I think when you repress the desire, when it becomes a taboo, and you don't want to look at it, this is when the problems also come. So there's a part of me that wants that, but that's shameful, and I would just keep this under the rug. And this is also something that doesn't work. So I think that there needs to be some authenticity. You know, right now, I use my body as my partner to experience things in my life, to give me more possibilities, to give more mood and energy. But I also want to look and say, wow, you know, I think it would be very nice to maybe decrease a little of the body composition and see a bit more of the, you know, the definition of the muscles. It will look amazing, and I would love that too. It's not the end goal, but I'm not afraid. I'm not shutting up that voice anymore.
Yes. Did what influenced you to not just go after looks? Because you know, so many people get into fitness because it was all about looks, and for you, it seems like you had there was like some type of philosophy or some type of mentality that goes, I don't want to go into the looks because it's not good, it's taboo, or it's egoic. Was there some type of influence you went through that went the other route?
Yes. I think that was about growing up in the mindset from the family, and also mindset from back home. You know, it's not about what you look, and you don't. You know, body is something that it's that thing that if you there was always this belief that if you want to go to the gym is where all these narcissistic people go, you know, and they don't have intellect. They're all about the muscle. There's all these dumb big people that just want to take pictures of themselves and see how. So there was a lot of this type of communication when I was a kid.
From their parents or siblings or friends?
From parents and from the environment in general. In Brazil back then, you know, going to the gym is the very narcissistic thing, and you're only, you know, growing muscles because you're not confident about yourself and you're trying to fulfill a hole of something, and then that I had the idea that whenever I thought about appearance, it was bad. You know, don't go there. This is for someone who can't get themselves straight in life, and they need to do this to feel, you know, get some external validation. So the beliefs were built from when I was a child. I think comes from my parents, from their experiences, and from people that I had around, and so this idea was this seed was planted by them.
That's amazing. You know, as you were saying that, I was thinking about in Taiwan, like in Mandarin, for example, when they say the gym, it's actually more like a description. There's not even like a word that says gym. Not that I know of. My Chinese is not good, but the word that I know of is it's like a beauty club, and bodybuilding is like to beautify yourself. It's a descriptive word, but that descriptive word is defining exercising, like bodybuilding. And I remember like people go, like, I'm trying to think of the word in Chinese, like menu. I can't come to me right now. But I remember every time when they refer it, I would feel a little uncomfortable and I know that that's the word that they use. And it just made me realize, like, wow, the way they see it there, for example, is you're trying to make yourself look better. It has nothing to do with like health or anything like that. It's like if you go to the gym, if you're interested in those things, you are just trying to make yourself look better. And I think the culture of fitness is so influenced in like what people get into. Like here in Bali, most people don't work out to get fit, and they just don't work out. A lot of them are fit from a lot of physical labor or just lifestyle, right? And you're talking about Brazil being the same thing, and being in Taiwan, like there's not a lot of people walking around, you know, being very jacked up. But then you go to a place like United States, like where I'm from, and you see all these guys, and everybody's in like, you know, everybody wants to look big and muscular, and they are very, very open about looking that way too. It's so interesting.
It's so, yeah. So my thoughts about this is there are two. One, I used to judge someone who did their fitness journey to look better. Right now, I don't anymore, because I think that every time that there's a taboo, every time that you say this is bad, this becomes counterproductive. This kind of comes to bite you at the end. And right now, I appreciate there's a lot of people who do bodybuilding as an art expression. I want to get my body into a certain shape because to me, it looks like art when I'm stepping on a stage, or even if I'm not a competitor, because I like the beauty and I appreciate that. That's authentic and that is beautiful that someone can own that motivation. The second thing that I think about that is that this mindset that I grew up with in Brazil, that building your body is only about the looks. Right now, I think that is quite dangerous in a way, because your muscle mass is one of the most important components of your health and longevity. And if you think about, I only work on my muscle mass because I'm this narcissistic person that wants to look better. And so if I'm not this narcissistic person, I will not do any exercise because exercise is only about the looks, or lifting weights is only about the looks. Then you are signing up for a very troublesome aging. Because, when you contract your muscle fibers, there is a production of a chemical compound called myokine. And myokine is like a messenger. It's like when you're working in a team and you write someone an email to send them a task to do. You delegate something to do. You write them an email, say, hey, Ronan, this is Mike. I would love you to do this, this, and that. And then you send me that email with instructions, and I work with you and say, all right, I'm going to do this. When you are contracting your muscles under tension, that's what you're doing when you're lifting weights, you produce myokines that are like emails with instructions, and they communicate with everything in your body. So for example, they attach themselves to your muscle, to your bone structure. And to the bone structure, they say, guys, let's absorb a bit more of the calcium and increase the bone mineral density. They go to the heart and say, guys, let's clear out a little bit of the veins and arteries. Let's dilate the arteries, so we pump more oxygen to the muscles. They go to the brain and they generate this brain-derived neurotropic factor. That is this fertilizer for the brain that makes the brain grow new brain cells. It grows physically, neurons, that is then avoiding things like Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer. And all these things happen when you are there using your muscles with intensity, whether you're doing some push-ups or squats, or you're doing something with your body weight or in the gym. But when you're using your muscles with intensity, you're communicating with all organs of the body, and they are triggering functions that they wouldn't if you're not exercising the body. So you're expanding your longevity because you are exercising your body. If you think about it, the main difference between human beings and plants, for example, is that plants, they're called autotrophs. They build their own food. They get the sunlight, they have chlorophyll, and they make their own energy. So they don't need to move to feed themselves. Human beings are heterotrophs. That means that you don't produce your food. You need to move yourself to eat and survive. And what do you need to move yourself so that you can eat? You need a muscle that moves your bones, that moves your body. So the muscle mass is one of the most fundamental organs for our own survival. And if we think that muscle mass is only about appearance, only about the looks, then you are not nurturing one of the most fundamental elements to your longevity, to your life quality as a human being. So I think that, this is one of the things that I raise a flag. First, be authentic with your goals. If your goal is to look better, this is beautiful, noble. I respect you. And second, don't believe that only working on your muscles is only about the looks, because everything about quality of life and longevity, your ability to play with your grandchildren, your ability to express, to enjoy life after you're 70, has a lot to do on how you used your muscle mass in your early stages of life.
And even their ability, even now, like you said, you went from working for a nonprofit, which is such a noble thing, but because you weren't active at taking care of yourself, and then you moved to Malaysia and you start to take care of yourself, and your whole entire personality and demeanor changed. And I think there are so many people out there that need to hear that nothing is wrong with their personality. Nothing is wrong with them. And all they have to do is simply to move their body, take care of the health of their body, and it will change their personality, change the way they think, change their emotions, change their outlook on life, simply by just that one area.
Outlook on life, that's one of the most important things. I'll tell you what, my dad last year, he almost died. He fell into depression. March of last year, he was working. He was a car mechanic, and he was working outside, and then he fell unconscious. He felt a very strong pain on his abdomen and in his head. Fell unconscious. Was found by a friend. And then when he woke up, he lost memory. He didn't know where he was. He didn't recognize his house. He didn't recognize me. He didn't recognize many people. And for 3 months, he was staring at the wall. He was not speaking to anyone. My mom would talk to him, and he was not responding. And we thought, we took him to different doctors to see what it was. And we thought it was Alzheimer's because of the loss of memory, but it was not. And then we thought that could be the other types of dementia because of all the brain symptoms that looked like it. It was not. All the diagnosis said there's nothing physiologically really wrong. And then there was a neurophysiologist who diagnosed this being pseudodementia. Pseudodementia is when you manifest the symptoms of dementia, but it's not a physiological change in the brain. Usually dementia comes when you have a couple of proteins that are accumulating in the brain, and then your brain starts to shrink. So that didn't happen to his brain. It was depression that was triggering the symptoms of dementia. And then the question was, where is this depression coming from? This depression was coming from a really, really high level of inflammation in the body because of a lot of visceral fat. That's the fat that is in between the organs. That type of fat is daily releasing cytokines. Cytokines are molecules that are triggering inflammation in the body. So when you have a lot of abdominal fat, you have a lot of inflammation, and that inflammation is drawing energy from other things that your body could be using for healing or for being functional. And then I went back home last year when my dad was healing, and he never took care of his health, never did any kind of exercise, was always drinking and eating things that he knew it wasn't good for him. And at that time, he could barely walk. And now he was, after 6 months, he was speaking again. His memory was coming back. And I said, Dad, do you want to do something about it? And he said, yes, I think now, shit hit the fan. I need to take some attitude about it. And then I started working with him for 3 months on a different nutrition plan. So we started to remove a bit of the most processed, hyper-processed food. There's the empty calories. We removed a bit of that. Remove a bit of the processed sugar and increase a bit more of the natural foods, about the vegetables and also protein. And started doing a bit more of a physical activity for him to use his muscles a little bit. Dude, in 3 months, so this was August. In November, he had lost 14 kilos.
Wow.
He was in the best shape since he's now 60 years old. In the best shape since he got married to my mom when he was maybe like 20, 25 or something. In the best shape of his life since he was 25.
This is after the...
And from there...
After the accident. And this is after that.
After. So this is 3 months. So the whole accident happened in March. From March to August, he was recovering the emotions. From August to November, so 3 months, I was working with him in his nutrition and exercise. And then from August to November, all this happened. 14 kilos that he dropped. And from barely being able to walk, when he was in November, he was riding bicycles every day. He would go, buy vegetables, because now he was eating a lot of vegetables in the grocery shop. But he would go to the grocery shop that was further away because he wanted to ride the bicycle. And the outlook of life that you mentioned, to me, is the most important thing, because now body is supporting your life expression. Now you have possibilities. Back in the day, last year, I would talk to my dad about him coming here to visit me in Malaysia. And my dad, he only entered an airplane once in his life. There was for a 40-minute flight to visit me when I lived in Paraguay. So my family is very local. They don't leave the house. I was the only one traveling the world, and I'm here. Dad, come visit me in Malaysia. And every time it was sad, because he would say, yeah, I'm not going to leave enough for that. My body doesn't support me, and I think I'm about to die. That's always what he would say last year and in the previous years.
Wow.
After he lost 14 kilos and started using his body, when I asked him about coming to Malaysia, he was talking about, when do we do this? When do we? And dude, this week, so now we are on Friday. Wednesday was my birthday, and I sent my parents their flight tickets to come to Malaysia in August because they're coming here for my wedding.
Nice.
So it was the outlook of life. To me, that's the beautiful thing. You work on your body. It's not about the looks. Your outlook of life changes. Now my dad is coming to Malaysia for a month. We're going to travel to Bali. We're going to travel to Cambodia and to Vietnam. And his outlook of life has changed because he dropped weight. It's not only about the look. It's about your outlook of life changing. Because you dropped a lot of visceral fat that is causing inflammation and is driving your mind crazy.
Wow.
There's a lot of your life potential that gets unlocked once you raise the vibration of the body.
And so, what do you think about all the personal development courses, about people that are about wanting to be more positive, to overcoming fear? What do you think about, because I see so many programs and I see so many people helping people, break past limitations, but I don't see them talking enough about the importance of taking care of their body, and how opening up the energy flow in the body and the frequency in the body can support, if not be one of the major differences in changing their mindset. What do you think about that? Because that's all over the place, right? There's so many people that is helping people with the mind, but not going into the body. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, and I had that experience when I was in Paraguay. When I was volunteering, I realized I was feeling miserable for way too long, that I was not being myself, and I needed some kind of help. I was clueless that this was about the body. So then one day I wrote an angry letter to Tony Robbins. So, and the way it got to that point was because of this. So I knew I was struggling. My to-do list on a Wednesday was the same to-do list on the previous Friday. And not because I had really challenging things to do. It's just because I couldn't pull myself together to take action on things. I was just dragging myself every day. And then someone said, man, I know what you need. You need a different goal setting strategy because you're not setting smart goals. And I said, all right, let's start setting smart goals. And then I started setting smart goals and nothing changes. Someone else told me, no, it's because you're not managing your time. You look into, time management. And then I started tracking. I got this web app that you log your time, Toggle. Okay, I'm using half an hour for emails and half an hour for this and half an hour. Nothing changed. And someone said, someone said, you need a success coach. So I got in a call with a success coach, and she asked me to buy Tony Robbins' book called Unleash the Giant Within. It's about NLP and all sorts of things. And I appreciate that. I'm not dismissing those things because I use those types of knowledge up to this day. It was very valuable to me, but it didn't sort out the problems that I had. I did unleash the giant within, but there was no giant within. I wrote Tony Robbins, man, I'm either not unleashing this guy or there's no giant within. I think that this whole personal growth, because to me, Tony Robbins at that time, he was the pope of the personal growth, right?
Yeah.
So this thing that you are doing doesn't work. You are a liar. And I wrote this letter to him, and I don't even know if his team ever received it. Because I had, in my understanding, I had a problem of the mind. The mind wasn't able to focus. The mood was bad. And for me to solve a problem of the mind, I needed to use the mind. I was using tools of the mind, goal setting and time management and NLP. And then none of this was working. And it's just because of my lack of awareness that the body and the mind were disconnected. And then when I started working on my body, then things started to shift. And I said, wow, all that solution for the mind things were in the body. Because what do you do with the body when you're exercising, when you're eating food that nurtures your body, when you're sleeping well, is that you're producing a bunch of hormones and a bunch of neurotransmitters that are all designing the chemistry of your body. So right now, if you're feeling excited about something, it's because you have some combination of maybe dopamine and serotonin in your brain. And this is triggered by the types of exercises that you do, by the types of food that you eat, for how much you rest in the evening, how you do with the body. In being a mechanical engineer by training, I was amazed that when I looked at engineering problems, my mind worked very well in looking at systems. As an engineer, that nothing's isolated. Everything is connected. And if you're looking at a building, you're looking at all the wind and the ground and how everything connects so you can design that building. But when you look at your body, at yourself, I was failing to recognize that I was a system. My body, my mind, my emotions, and my spirit, for who believes in these things, they are all interconnected.
I love that.
I was trying to isolate it.
Is an entire system, not just isolating. And to fix it, you do not go and fix the whole entire system by just pinpointing certain points. You have to look at the whole system. I love that. That's the modern approach for medicine. It's very reductionist. There's a word. It reduces the body. So he looks at someone who has a problem and says, all right, so you are feeling this problem is on your digestion. So let's look into your liver. And from the liver, let's look into that specific protein. Now let's move that, let's pin that thing. So you're trying to reduce everyone into little parts and going into that little part. And that becomes patches. You're never really working on something. You're just patching things. And when you take steps back and you look at someone as a whole system, and you may have some digestion issues, but just like some solutions for the body, solutions for the mind can be in the body, sometimes some solutions for the body can be in the mind. Sometimes you are getting bloated. It's not because and your nutrition is pretty good. That's what happened to me last year. I was getting bloated and retaining fluid and all these kind of things. And it was an autoimmune protocol. My nutrition was pretty on point, but it was about anger expression. So it was about how I expressed anger. It was about the emotion that was connecting to the body. These things are a system. You cannot isolate them. You can, but it's not effective. Wow. I love that. I think this information that we are talking about, well, let me rewind back. I believe that fitness and health is on the process right now of evolving. It's evolving into connecting to all the other aspects of somebody's life, like what we're talking about, connecting into their mental health, connecting into their personality, into their outlook, connecting into their emotions. And I think when people like us start to share this more and more and more, and people talk about it more and more, eventually it becomes common knowledge. And while somebody may still have this goal that I want to look good, but they will go to fitness and they will go to taking care of their body as a solution for their entire life, and not
And there's space that they explore this universe. And this, Mike, is when I really appreciate the things that you were doing, because when I was in Bali last week, I went to your place and I experienced your flow, and it's that holistic approach to the body. You know, when I go to the gym here and lift weights, which is something that I love to do, it is still a reduction. I am only working on muscle contraction, muscle lengthening with tension. Although I am already bringing my mind, because I do this as a whole meditative practice, but it is a very specific thing. You're isolating the resistance training. And the flow that you do is a holistic approach. You have moments that you're activating the body, right? You have moments that you're loosening up, and then you have moments that you're breathing, and then you're meditating, and then you are into the exercise, and then you go back into breathing and meditating and stretching, and you're working emotions and body and thoughts all at the same time. And I think that's where human consciousness seems to be evolving towards now. It's not about the guy who is the specialist in one thing. It's the guy who is the specialist in integrating a lot of things.
Yes.
And the flow that you facilitated when I was there is exactly this. It's an integrative method for the body.
Right. And also to make it something that is practical for somebody to continue on a daily basis. You know, I think people have for some people, if they have
Mike, it just broke. The connection broke a little bit.
I think people have like different interests, no matter what it is. Like for some people, if they're missing health because they are sick, like what happened with your father, or or something happened and they don't have the health, then their focus is, I'm going to take care of my health. But for somebody who has health and they don't feel confident, they may look at their body, they go, I want to look better in my body. Maybe I can attract the right mate. And maybe for somebody that isn't feeling good, they go, I want to just feel better. But so I feel like there are certain areas that is somebody's main focus. But the thing is, even though people's focuses will change, right? Sometimes I want to just look good as my main focus. Sometimes I want to feel good as my main focus. But I believe that we should never neglect the other areas. We can maybe put more of our attention towards one part of our health in our body, one part of our physical mind and body training, and put more energy towards it. But I don't think we should ever neglect the other areas, because if not, we would always be fixing one thing or enhancing one thing and letting something else break. Kind of like life. If somebody focuses only on making money, then they let go of their personal relationships and they let go of their health. Or they focus only on health, maybe they are having financial problems, right? And so while we know that in order to move forward in any part of our life, especially to get really, really good results, we have to direct our resources and our thoughts and condense it into one area more than the others. So this way that area can really blossom. But I think there also should be a part of our attention and our energy in the other area. So at least we can keep a bare minimum in those areas. And that's the philosophy of doing flow training. For me, my main goal was in two aspects. And out of the two, it was more into one than the other. The first one, the main one, was just about learning how to be in a very calm and relaxed state and have mental clarity. And the second focus is on aesthetics. And I would go back and forth between it. But even though these two focuses doesn't involve flexibility, it doesn't involve mobility, it doesn't involve having a better outlook on things, I make sure that all of these areas are still covered. So this way I don't neglect it. And when I do this type of training, because the training is covering it by default, I don't ever have to think about, I need to include something else because I want to make sure I get the bare minimum in that, or I need to constantly be deciding on what to do every single day to have it all. Kind of like a fitness person who has structured meals, so they don't have to choose different things to eat every single day. That was the philosophy that I had in creating that.
And one thing that I love about what you just said is this fact of, you have a baseline of things that you're keeping to at least a minimum, and then you have something that you want to blossom. And by keeping the baseline on the other things, they are supporting the things that you want to blossom. And I think it's also very important to allow yourself to choose the area an area that you want it to blossom. There's all this discussion about what does life balance means. And Einstein used to say, I read a book by a guy who lived with Einstein. He was a good friend of his, and so he wrote a kind of in the mind of Einstein type of book. And he said that he used to say that life balance is a dynamic balance. We have these two types of equilibrium. You have something that is static, and you have something that is dynamic. Something that is static is something that is like my laptop now standing on the table is static. There's nothing that needs to be moving for it to be balanced. So if you have a life that has a static balance, you're looking at all areas of life and you're trying to make them equal. I need to be 33% of work and 33% of health and 33% of relationships, and everything needs to be leveled up. But Einstein said, life balance is more dynamic. It's like riding a bicycle. For you to ride a bicycle and be in balance, you need to be moving. So there will be a time of your life that you blossom the work part. And then the family and the health and all the rest will support that. And there'll be another part of life that you will allow the family to blossom. And then work and health and everything will support that. And at some point it will be health. At some point it will be fun. At some point it will be learning. And you always have an area that is blossoming. And then if you zoom out, all these different peaks and valleys make up a balance. Yeah. And then you have an area that you're nurturing, and all the other areas that you're keeping to baseline or something that are supporting the area. And that gives the dynamic balance life. And that's a concept that I really appreciate.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people will agree with that. But what happens in their life is they put all of their energy in one area and they neglect the others.
Right.
And I think that's why it's so important to find the minimum or find a daily habit that takes care of all the areas that we are not focused in. And the daily habits need to be easy to do and need to be the same. Because why is it the same? If it's different, we have to think about it. If we have to think about it, it's too much energy in an area that we don't really care about, So it needs to be the same. It needs to be executed in also like the same way in the same time. The least amount of decisions that we need to make in an area that we don't care about or that we are not focusing on, I think is the key. So this way we can have all of the ability to make decisions in the actual part of our life, no matter what it is that we are actually focused on. If we try to make decisions in all the areas, even the areas we don't focus on or don't care about, we don't have the capacity to. And that is something that I feel like this practice does. Because like for me, I do the practice and I know that all the areas are taken care of now. From there, if I am focused on being more clear, expanding my awareness and feeling the sense of freedom and opening up my ability to express, let's say making a video. So I want to express my ideas, I want to bring in the energy and get more creative. Then I go, okay, what do I do to go and do that? So let me go ahead and get focused. Let me get my body to feel light so I can bring up my energy. Do I care about the muscles? I don't care about the muscles. Doesn't matter. I need to get into that mindset and get into that flow. But then if I go, man, I want to put on a little more size, get a little more leaner. Okay. Then I go do more pull-ups. I go do more exercises. But no matter what, all the other areas are always covered.
The system is there. And then you manipulate the variables depending on where you want to focus on, right?
Yes.
And you talk about habits, having the habits that cover all the areas of life. I love that. And one question that I have to you that I'm curious about, besides your flow training that you do every day, what are some of the habits that you have lately that wherever you go, they happen, they are important to you?
So the flow practice is like the delivery system. It's like the delivery system for the mind. It's like when I look at the practice, I look at it as the practice opens up the body and it opens up our mind to allow our body and our mind to be imprinted in the right thinking, imprinted in the right way of looking at things and imprinting the right perspectives. And so the practice does that for me. And then from there, the actual ways of thinking, the ways of being, there's actually 7 main principles that I focus on. And then outside of that, there's a lot of other ones, but these 7 ones are ones that are part of the practice that helps enhance the practice. But at the same time, I take it outside and I practice it in daily life. And it creates an acronym of breathe. So B stands for breathing with movements. So we need to move, but we also need to breathe. And when we combine the 2 together, now our breath and our body is synced in together. So if we are not moving a lot then we don't need to constantly be breathing very, very heavily, right? Our breath can be soft, it can be easy. But if we are moving a lot and we're not breathing enough, then we don't give our body the right amount of oxygen to function. So breathing with movement is very dynamic, but it's something that allows people to become conscious of their breathing and being able to start to control their mind more. The breath controls the mind directly. So the other one is like repetition. R for repetition. Repetition creates habit. So it allows someone to know, I do this practice every day so I can create a habit, but also in everyday life. If I want to get better at making videos, I need to make videos very often. If I want to get better at using this program, playing a guitar, right? So repetition creates habit. The next one is E, effort, max 70%. So a lot of times when people think about this one, they go 70%. I try to go 150. Yes, you can go 150 today and then you go 20 tomorrow because you're burned out, because you're tired, because your body is fatigued, your brain is tired, right? So it's like the tortoise and the hare story, And the moral of the story, it's better to go 70% every day than to go 100% once in a while. And so the good thing about this is that our capacity of 70% changes. 70% can be here today and here tomorrow. Why?
Right.
Through repetition, we get better at what we do, right? So now that 70, we're doing more, but we don't feel like we're not totally exhausting our energy, exhausting our limit, but yet we are doing more, right? So then the next one is A for always calm and relax. This allows us to go ahead and be calm. It allows for our body to let go of as much stress as possible so we can be clear, be clear and have that clarity. and let go of tension. So this way our body can be healthy. And so next one is T, total focus. So in practice, we stare at something without blinking, right? About blinking or looking away. But in everyday life, we need to learn how to direct our attention. And so this way, when someone goes, okay, I'm doing the practice, I'm constantly looking at this thing, and then they realize in everyday life, if their eyes are wandering everywhere, their mind is also wandering everywhere.
That's why I say, look at something that you can focus in front of you.
Yeah. And then H stands for have no judgment. So not judging, competing, or comparing allows somebody to be themselves instead of having to be what everybody else wants them to be, or having to constantly put unnecessary pressure onto themselves. And the last one, E, is expanding. It's expanding somebody's capacity. So this way we can expand our capacity to feel pain, to feel stress. Also, at the same time, we can expand our capacity to be able to be calm and be relaxed, expand our capacity to move, expand our capacity to be still, expand our capacity to express, expand our capacity to connect deeper.
Observe.
So this way, when we start to practice, the bigger our capacity is, the more experience of life we get to live and we get to be free in. It's like having a small, if we have a very limited capacity, we have to play in this really small little area. When we start to expand it, we are free, right? Like you talked about your parents before, their capacity when it comes to traveling was very limited to a local area. And now they're like, okay, hey, I'm coming to see you. Now they can expand their capacity for travel, experience, and so forth. So when we do the practice, we talk about these principles. So this way people can apply it in the practice. And at the same time, they're able to start to remember these principles. Because when we hear thoughts, if we are not elevating our feelings, we're not elevating our emotions, it's really hard to remember the thoughts, because the thoughts don't have something energetically strong to connect to. And so it just comes and it's gone. But then if we have a emotional experience, a elevated feeling at the same time while we are hearing the thought, thinking about the thought, or visualizing it, those two connect. And that's the mind and the body connecting together to this idea, to the philosophy, to a quote, to a thought. And now these thoughts, they stay. And so that's why we talk about a doing practice, to the point to where it's like, I'm practicing, I'm doing these things, but I'm also at the same time practicing these principles. And now when everyday life, I can think, oh, right, breathe with my movement. Why am I breathing so weird right now? Oh, right, because I'm in the meeting, I'm in this thing, and I'm nervous. Okay, relax, breathe with it. I don't need to have this quick breath. And then suddenly their demeanor changes. And so that was the idea, is applying these things together. So now we're training the body and the mind simultaneously. Because people want to train the mind, like we talk about personal development, but I found that part is missing. How do we get more effective in training the mind? Yes, we can do very, very repetitive things, and constant repetition will eventually do it, but it takes a very, very long time. The faster way is simply to elevate the emotion, like how people experience events, and the events that are very, very emotional, man, they remember everything, you know? So that is something that I found works very well when we combine it together.
It's interesting that we are kind of in this very similar vibration and on the same page. Because right now, for example, one of the things that I'm working on in Brazil, I have most of the content that I make is in Portuguese for people in Brazil. Because I got the opportunity of traveling so much and getting to know people and learning things that I still haven't reached Brazil, because people there are limited by the language, right? And so I'm getting these things that I'm learning and bringing into Portuguese. And one of the things that I'm working on there is this, very similar to the flow idea, is a morning routine that takes an hour and then has elements of journaling, has elements of reflection and meditation, has elements of exercise. So you do, I also learned some Qigong when I was in Paraguay. So it has some elements of Qigong for body activation. Then it has a Tabata session for like puts your heartbeat up through the roof. And
Yes.
then after that, you do some low intensity exercises and then do some breathing. You come back to a more, now your body is awake and now your mind is focused, and then you can think about your priorities for the day. So it's like a whole routine, just like, you know, if you go to the gym, if I go to the gym today and arrive and it's cold and I want to do my maximum strength on squats, I know I need to warm up first. If I go straight to 100-something kilos, I know that I either not gonna be able to perform, I can injure myself. But then during the day, you also have opportunities to perform not only with your body, but with your mind, with creativity, or with social interactions in a meeting, or you need to be focused to do more manual job, and then you meet friends, and then there's emotions and things. So the morning routine serves for you to warm up all these things. Warm up your creativity, warm up your mind, warm up your body, warm up everything. So when you reach those moments in the day that you are, that those situations appear to you, you're ready to go, you know? You know the priorities for the day, your body is awake, you're aware about your breath, you had some meditation, so you were more observant of your thoughts, and now you're ready to express your whole potential for everything that comes in the day.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Usually what I do is I figure out what is the top 3 things that I need to finish today, even though usually the list is very long. And then after the top 3,
yeah.
you know, then I just look at the one thing. You know, I love Gary Keller's approach of the one thing to focus on. Therefore, by doing it, everything else becomes easier. And then I look at that one thing, I go, okay, let me do that. And something else that I started to tie in is I realized that sometimes when we try to finish a task, let's say we go, okay, out of these 3 things out of the 10 things, 3 things are the most important. Out of these 3 things, the second one is like, if we finish that, everything else becomes easier. But when we start to work on that, we are drawing a blank. We are feeling resistance. It's like, man, this is tough. I can't figure it out. I started to realize, well, why is it to where that happens sometimes, but it doesn't happen all the time? Why is it where sometimes I work on, let's say I'm writing, I'm trying to think of things to write, maybe content, maybe I'm blogging or writing down strategies, and it flows out with ease. And sometimes I can't think of anything and I'm trying to force it. And then I started to recognize that our state of consciousness, the way we feel, and particularly our state of consciousness was, to dive in deeper, in other words, the information in our mind that is open, the information that we're able to access, those information would help us do what it is that we need to do. And so if I need to do this task, I need to have this information open. But what will get me to open up this information the easiest? So if I'm trying to write this thing and I'm not drawing anything, it may take me, let's say, 2 hours to finally open up the information needed to work on this task. And then once it's open, suddenly it's like, okay, it took me 2 hours. I barely did anything. I watched some videos, I got inspired. Now I can start writing, but it took 2 hours to get there. It happened to me. And I go, okay, there's gotta be an easier way. So I started realizing certain tasks that I do can help me get the information, help my mind get into a certain state to do another task. And so instead of making it to where what's the most important thing to do that creates the biggest ripple, I look at it as what task can I do that gives me the right information that I need, and that gets me into the right emotional state in my body that allows the work to be done easier with little effort. And it's different, I feel, for everybody. And I started finding out certain things help me create other things. An example would be very easy. I would get on my phone and I would go and answer back on DMs on Instagram, and some comments. And I'll do that for about, let's say, 30 minutes or so, talk and text and stuff like that. And then after that, Now I can record videos, content videos, because I went ahead and helped people. And so versus sitting there, I know I need to record videos.
Ideas there.
Trying to think about what to record. I could have been spending the time instead, that same time trying to figure it out. I can spend time to communicate with people, help people, and the videos come out easily afterwards. So things like that
totally agree. You start realizing that, you know, those 2 hours of struggling, you can just transform that in other activities that are giving you results and lead into other things. Yes. For me, for example, I go walking every day in the morning. I sit at the park and I work from the park. And then when it's time for me to have my breakfast is around 12, I walk back home, 11 a.m. That is the moment that to me is the best to solve any problem or something that I don't know what to do. When I walk back home, it's the problem solving type of mind is the best. And there's even, I was researching about this, right? And there's an evolutionary perspective to this. So 200,000 years ago, when our bodies were used to hunt, and at that time when we didn't have any weapons for long distance hunting, the main technique that our ancestors would use was to kill an animal on exhaustion. And so it's what we call today the perseverance hunting. So imagine that you and I are in Africa and we see an antelope. And then we start approaching the antelope because we need to kill it with our own hands or a rock or something. Then the antelope perceives our presence and runs. And he runs a lot faster than we do. So we don't run, we just walk. It's a low intensity type of exercise. But eventually, because the antelope is fast, we lose sight. We don't know where it is. At that time, the human beings who survived were the ones who could stop moving, so stop exercising, and then use their brains to guess where the antelope went. So they look at the footprints, they look at the bushes moving. So at that time, for the people who could stop moving and improve their cognitive abilities of problem solving, they were the ones that are most successful in finding where the antelope went. And then they approach the antelope again, the antelope notices and stop running. And then again, you stop, improve your cognitive abilities and solve the problem. And you do this so many times, at some point, the antelope is exhausted and cannot run away anymore. And this is how people would hunt, eat, and survive and reproduce. So then the brain developed this ability of improving cognitive capacity, especially for problem solving, in between intervals of low intensity exercise. So for example, my professor in engineering would tell us, you know, when you're solving a physics problem that is way too hard and you don't know what to do, go brush your teeth and then come back. And I had the whitest teeth in my classroom, right? But it was not about brushing the teeth itself. It was about standing up, walking to the bathroom, doing some, moving your body a little bit. And for me, I had the advantage because the bathroom was upstairs. So I had to go upstairs, brush my teeth and come back. And then mind would be clear. Poof, the answer would come. And also when you're brushing your teeth, you're doing that mindless stuff, just like when you're having shower and the ideas start to come. So then you start to figure out, you know, what I do before that primes my state for the next thing.
Yes, I do the same thing, except I probably should do it for brushing my teeth. I found like my teeth is starting to get a little yellow from drinking coffee. I would wash dishes. I would go and pick up things in the house, like, oh, there's a clothes laying here, you know, this needs to be put up, they need to put into their places, and it takes very little effort. It just takes moving around, and so I just do it slowly. I take my time, and during these little tasks, I would go and figure out things. I would kind of stop my mind, and I would just connect. And once I connect, I have the intention of I need to figure out this thing, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah. Another thing that I love doing here in Bali is I would go on a drive. I would go on a drive in the scooter, and sometimes I find a place that I feel like I need to reduce the activity even more, because driving, I still have to have a certain amount of attention. I can't go into total mindlessness, right? Not
Yeah.
traffic here. Maybe in the States.
Especially in Bali.
Not Bali, right? But then I love like just walking, maybe walking on the beach, something to where it's very effortless. You know, just like how you walk from the park home. I love to walk. You know, most of the time, if I'm not driving and walking out there, I'm pacing around and little routes in my home, and just, you know, taking my time, and then suddenly something will come, and then I go and I write it down, you know. I love that. And it's such an enjoyable way, instead of sitting there hitting my head against the wall trying to figure out problems, you know.
Totally, especially about the creative part. And just like you said, I also have a backlog of ideas for videos that I create, that I put in Portuguese and all these kind of things. And sometimes when I have a schedule, okay, I need to create a video about, I don't know, resilience for stress. And then I struggle, and I watch videos to inspire, and then things just don't get there. And then sometimes I have a couple of ideas. I know I want to have a couple of videos maybe on stress, some on exercise, some on nutrition. And then I go do something like this. Organize the house, go for a walk, and then one of them comes. Sometimes something different comes. But I'm always open the mind and the notes ready, because some of this will come and eventually I'll get there.
I find that the situations I get most inspired is when I have something that I'm dealing with. And as I am solving my own problem, the idea that I should share this comes to me right away. Sometimes I'm in a conflict with somebody and I'm talking to them, we're doing something. And
it broke up a little bit. Can you repeat something that you're dealing with?
And then, internet just so yeah. So if I'm having a conflict with someone or a conversation with someone and they made me realize something, or I help them realize something, but after that, I realize, whoa, this is something that should be shared. This is a lesson, and then I connect the dots, and now the content, the information comes right after. It's like, I need to experience it. If I don't experience it, I feel like the information is what's the word? It's like copy. It's like I read something, okay, yes, step 1, 2, 3, let me talk about it. But it's not as deep. There's not this embodiment, you know, and I think that is the best way to be able to share.
Together, right?
So Ronan, what is it that you are focusing on the most right now? Any type of, you talked about Brazil and doing some projects there. So what is it that you're focused most on right now for you?
Right now, I am looking at the intersection between health and behavior. And that's what I'm communicating things about, mostly in Portuguese. I just started a YouTube channel in English as well for Mindvalley that we're going to release next week. There's content and interviews on these things. But what I'm looking at is how do we merge all the knowledge about health and fitness, improving your body and getting more expansion of life with things like atomic habits? How you make that part of the implementation routine, how you build morning routines that expand your possibilities in life during the day. How do you construct the habit of, start to cook your own food and improve your nutrition? So that what I'm doing is diving deep into the research for health and fitness, applying these things into my life and realizing how I turn them into systems of execution, and then finding ways to communicate them. What I really love is to get all the understanding about the body, health and fitness, into metaphors, into analogies, into stories, because the whole point of the content that I'm doing in Portuguese, and now I'm starting in English as well, is about the understanding of how the body works. and actions that lead you to experience more of that. My dad's a car mechanic, as I told you. I remember when I was 9 years old, he called me into the garage and said, Ronan, come here, change the water of the radiator. And then I didn't know what the radiator was and why would you put water inside something of the car. And then my dad told me, one day you're going to have a car and you need to know at least the basics of how it works. Because one, if it stops working when you are on the road, you can do at least the most urgent stuff. Second, if you work with someone and you take it to a mechanic, you will know if the guy knows what he's doing. And third, you can know when the car is working optimally or not. Sometimes you are working on, you're driving a car that is shaky, you don't even know that that's not the ideal state. And so I don't own a car, but I own a body. But that's the same philosophy. My idea is, how do I translate all the scientific knowledge of health and fitness into easy ways of understanding it, into educational ways of, all right, an analogy, a story here that leads into a behavior. Because then people can get the understanding of how their body works. So if the body stops working in the middle of the road, there's something wrong, you know more or less what to do. If you work with a doctor, you don't rely on, you don't put the responsibility on the doctor. You work with the doctor as a consultant to see what he thinks, if it makes sense, because now you understand a bit better. And most importantly, you know when the body is working optimally, when it's not. Sometimes you wake up in the morning feeling tired or not, you don't even know, you think that that's the normal state, right? Or you're there like I was, my mind was trying to work on my to-do list from Wednesday that was the same from Friday, and I just thought that it was okay. And so the main focus now is creating content and courses that translate all the science of health and fitness into daily habits, in ways of understanding how the body works. So there's a Instagram account that I'm doing in Portuguese with lives every week, and then I'm launching a product on habit building from next month. There's this podcast and YouTube channel with Mindvalley that is in English, and then the courses that we built at Mindvalley as well with different authors. So I'm working on a fitness system for an author with Mindvalley, another one about longevity, another one about nutrition, to bring those courses for people to implement those types of actions in their lives.
Wonderful. And with Mindvalley, are you working with the people, like the employees at Mindvalley, to help them with their health and nutrition and longevity, or is it with the customers of Mindvalley?
With the customers. So if we imagine Mindvalley as a university, and just like any university, you have different faculties, right? You have engineering, and then you have business, and then you have law. Mindvalley, if it was an university, it is just a university for personal growth. But you also have faculties. You have a faculty for health and fitness, a faculty for relationship, spirituality, personal finance, and whatnot. Yeah. What I do is that I am let's say, the director of the health and fitness faculty. So just like when I started engineering, there was a dean, a director of that school. And he was thinking, what is the curriculum for engineering? Someone who starts in the first semester, they will learn Algebra 1, and they will learn Calculus 1. But they won't learn physics yet because they need to finish that, so they go to the next level. And then there's a graded level. And there are different pillars, right? There is calculus, there's algebra, there's physics, there's chemistry. And then what I'm thinking is something similar. For health and fitness, someone wants to start developing their health and their bodies. First, what are the pillars? So you have exercise, you have nutrition, you have recovery. And then what do you learn in the basic level? And what you don't learn in the basic level that you learn later on. And then, okay, so we need something basic on maybe strength exercise here, or body weight exercise. And we need something on nutrition, and we need something on sleep. And then the next question is, who are the best people working on these things? Now, on sleep, for example, there's a doctor called Dr. Michael Bruce. He's one of the most experts, the biggest experts in sleep science, and in works a lot of people coaching people, including presidents of the United States. So they reach out to this guy and say, hey, what you know is amazing. I want to shape your knowledge into a course. So people over the course of 12 weeks, they can improve their sleep and learn about it. Then I work with this guy and put a course there. And then we build this experience. So this, what I do in Mindvalley is, one is I create courses and content on my own. And the second is I look at the curriculum and say, all right, what are the pillars? What are the levels? Who are the best people working on these things? How can we make them teachers out of this curriculum?
Wonderful. I love what you said earlier about creating systems, workflows and systems. So this way it becomes a habit and somebody is not having to put out fires every time. The fires don't start because the systems are in place to keep everything flowing, to keep everything regulated. And something that I do, I love that because I think in the exact same way. And one of the systems that I do is in the morning time when I do the morning practice, it lets me know a whole number of things to start off. Now those elements will change throughout the day, but right away, first thing I realize is how my stomach is doing, how my gut is doing. Do I have things in my gut that hasn't been cleared? Is there's cramps? You know, what's going on? I will know because I will have gas, I would burp, and also my sinuses. When my body is dirty because I ate a lot of things before, and or I have something going on, everything becomes plugged, and then I start to blow out all kinds of things out of my nose because I'm forcing it out through a lot of the moving and breathing, right? So things like that, and also like the energy. Like when I do the breath retention, I get to feel how is the strength of my energy. When my energy is very strong, like breath retention is one indication. Doing the power-ups, jumping and making the sound, hoo, 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 and different things like that. It lets me gauge how's my energy level right now. So those are elements like that. And there's a lot of different things in that area, in like how my body feels. Am I tight? Do I have pain? I do the hip circles and I'm moving around. And if I'm loose, I'm feeling good, it's so easy. It's like gliding. But if there are certain parts that are stiff or have injuries, I do that. Whoa, my back is a little stiff. Whoa, this thing. And I think that's the thing is a lot of people, they don't have systems to know how their body is doing. They got to go to a doctor.
Internal weather
Specialist. They can't tell. They're not connected, and they aren't doing the things to be able to tell. The next thing, something that's really easy, you know, that people watching or listening, I think can do right away. It's probably one of the easiest things, and it can say so much, is throughout the day, at some point, literally just sit there, relax, either sit or even stand, and put their arms down, totally relax, and just close your eyes and just stand there. And maybe just 10 to maybe 20 seconds. And by doing that, they can sense, number one, how their body feels. Because when you try to relax and then they can't, they go, whoa, man, I'm tense on my neck or I'm tense on my back. They can feel, okay, I'm carrying tension, right? The next thing is like they can start to connect to their emotions. If they're not totally aware, they stop everything. So then they go, whoa, I feel like there's this anger emotion or this anxiety emotion, or I feel nervous. And then they can also physically feel their body. Is their body in this nice state of like, it's strong, but it's very relaxed and still, or they find like there's this shakiness in the body feels very weak, and they're not able to notice it because they never stopped. So, or
you realize you have your shoulders close to your ears the entire day, you don't even realize you're like this, right?
Yes. Or they realize, oh, I've been clenching my jaw the whole time, or my eyes are really tight. All of these little things, and it requires no tools or anything. They literally just stop for about 10 to 20 seconds and just check. And this is something that I do all the time, especially when I sense that something could be wrong. And then I stop and I check, And the thing is, like, when something is wrong, sometimes we don't have the opportunity to fix it. You know, maybe we don't have the time or in the middle of something. And there's three things that I do to try to get rid of the problem. The first thing is I try to fix it on the spot when I realize it's happening by either letting go of the tension, letting go of if I've been clenching the whole day, let it go. If I've been in a bad position or something, I try to, usually it's some type of tension and I'm not calm or relaxed. I try to let it go on the spot. And if I can't do that because it's too much and I don't have the capacity to, I do a very quick type of practice, something that I take out of the flow training practice and then I implement it right away, right there on the spot. Like I will do a quick breathing. I will do like a left and right alternating nostril followed by an exhale hold, you know, and I will do it on the spot. In through the mouth, double out on the nose, boom, 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 boom. I will do like 20, followed by a, let's say, exhale everything, sit there, close my eyes, and then just hold as long as I can and then relax, right? Or I would just tap on my body, something very fast on the spot. And a lot of times that would reset the body, reset my mind, and at least not allow the accumulation of discomfort to continue to rise. If that doesn't work and I have the time, then I go into another room or I leave wherever I'm at, and then I may spend a 10, 20, 30-minute practice, however long it takes to get rid of whatever's happening. That a lot of times is dependent on somebody's schedule and freedom, but the first and second is what I usually do. And that usually can eliminate a lot of the small things, or at least kind of help carry me until I have the time to really spend to deal with whatever is happening. But that's something I do throughout every single day. You know, I come into a stillness and I connect, and eventually, in the beginning, people have to close their eyes, they have to get away from all the distractions, and they have to go in. But eventually, they are always connected. And when they're always connected, they don't even need to separate out. They can just feel it. They go, I already know this is happening. Let me get rid of it. You know, and I've been practicing this for years now. So I am at the stage where I can tell something is off. And then when moment that happens, I just start to get rid of it right away. And I think that is
train your awareness to recognize when the state is there, right? I think a lot of the times you have the intention, I'll do some breathing exercises when I feel tense, but you're not even catching when that is happening. And so this is one of the reasons why a morning routine, when you're paying attention to this, trains your mind to look for those states, so then you can catch this on the go. And then at some point you are in a point that you're not needing to stop to practice meditation. You do it as your default mode, right? You're aware. It's just like Eckhart Tolle says, the first step of meditating is maybe doing 40 minutes of meditation in the morning. But that is just the beginning, because it's just like you take a shower and then you get dirty again, right? Yeah. Your ideal state is to not to have 40 minutes of meditation in the morning anymore, but to have that state throughout the days, to bring that awareness. And so this is what I love about you having checkpoints during the day, instead of only having the flow in the morning and then, all right, now I'm going to do things. There are little interventions during the day that start, training your state. One of the things that I love to do is every time before a meal, I do my prayers. And I close my eyes and I take very, very long 6 deep breaths. So I get very relaxed, and then I find what the tensions in my body are, and I relax those tensions, and I get aware of what is happening, and I feel the gratitude for the food and the energy that the food will give me to live the next moments of the day. But then it is at least 3 times during the day that I'm having that checkpoint. How is the internal weather right now? Because the weather changes throughout the day, right? And I think that's what you're saying that to me is also very important, is that when you feel in the morning how you are doing, that is one issue that most people don't even feel how the internal weather is. But I think there's even before that, a stepping before that, that is a lot of people are not even aware that the weather of the body changes from one day to the other. It's not sunny every day. It's not my body is like this and it performs every day on the same way. Just like you have the weather outside, sometimes it's windy, sometimes it's cloudy, sometimes it's sunny. Your body also has that internal state, and that is beyond your control. Most of the times, you can influence some things with good nutrition, exercise, sleep, and so on. But still, sometimes you wake up and I didn't have a bowel movement yet, or something is tense, or something is like that. Not only this, as just like you said, it changes throughout the day. Just because it's rainy in the morning, it's not going to be raining for the rest of the day. It can be super sunny in the middle of the afternoon. And then it has a storm at 5 p.m., right? And then the stars close to going to bed. All these things can happen inside the body.
And then when somebody can recognize what's happening in the body and they recognize that there's different states, then they start to recognize what habits can create the states that they want to be in. And then that's when they start to have more control over their experience of life.
So to me, there are two things there. There is one that you can influence your state by doing it, by your practices. You can influence the weather. And the second thing is that you are not totally the owner of that thing. You can influence that to change to a great extent, but you're not guilty for having a rainy day sometimes. Alan Watts says this, that, I experience my feelings and my emotions as the weather. If something is made me angry or sad or disappointed or a bit low energy today, I don't blame myself and say, you don't need to, you cannot feel worry, or you cannot feel sadness, or stop feeling that. No, it's the weather. It came to me. I can influence that to some extent, but sometimes it comes in, it's the weather. I can make maybe rain a little less if I do my altered nostril breathing, but maybe it will still rain. So I don't need to blame myself for that, and know that I can do things to influence the internal weather.
Yes. We don't need to add more pressure and create judgment out of it. We simply just accept that this is happening, and then we know that we're doing the best we can, and then we try to make it better, and whatever happens. Such a nice balance. Yeah. It's just like when something bad happens and you get angry and someone tells, hey, Mike, don't feel angry. So, as if I could switch like this, right? Okay. Don't feel angry. Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Now I'm not angry anymore. No, it's a weather. It's you don't control these things. They come to you and appreciate. In the same way, most of the days I am feeling, through the roof. My energy is really, really, really good. I know that a lot of that I influence with my practice. A big part of that I also influence. But I'm also grateful for a part of that because I know I'm receiving too. Yeah. So this has been really awesome. I want to ask you one more question about people who's listening and watching. A lot of people realize the importance of health and importance of fitness, but they have such a hard time to get started. And if they happen to get started, they have even a hard time to continue. What do you think is the most important factors to help somebody get started and to continue?
I think to get started, to me, the most important factor is to build some type of routine. And this is why I love morning routines, for example, because it gives you time for execution, right? So you start the year and say, this year I'm going to exercise more. But then you realize that you have no time for this, or that you haven't planned. So you need a system for execution. If I want to cook my food, or if I want to go to bed earlier, or if I want to do some type of training, first I need to create a system for execution when I'm doing this. and how much I am doing this. So I think if you build a morning routine, you're building a space in the day where you can guarantee that something happens. Whatever it is. If you want to exercise, you can exercise there. If you want to do some mindfulness practice, you can do some mindfulness practice. So start by putting an anchor on your day that you can execute something that goes towards your health and fitness. And to me, morning is even better because then you prioritize the happens, right? It's not at the end of the day, and then after a long day, you may forget or not have the energy. And then in that morning, you can play with whatever you want. You can do an exercise. You can cook a healthy breakfast. You can do some meditation, some breath work. Whatever it is starting small. This is the habit behavior building. It's not, I'm going to go to the gym 5 times in a week, and then I'll do intermittent fasting and cut my carbohydrates and, go to bed every day at 10:30 p.m. There is a beauty into starting very slow and small, not only because it's how you build your behavior, it also makes you crave for more. If you say, I'm going to start exercising, but you know what? I'm going to do this only 5 minutes this week. If you manage to do this for 5 minutes, not only is it easy enough for you to get started, but you're looking forward to increase to 10 minutes. Instead of you say 1 hour per day, you are already looking forward for your deload week, for you to finish that stuff. So starting small deliberately so you can crave the growth. And second thing, have a system for learning. If you have a goal that is important for you, whether it's improving something in your health, you need to know what to do. And whether is this a coach or a trainer or a book or a podcast or something, find a space in your day that you dedicate for learning. So then you know what to do, or you know how to do, or you know if things are giving you the results that you want or not. Because the most frustrating things on health and fitness is doing a lot of things that you have no clue of what you're doing, and then you are excited to take action in the beginning, but then because after a couple of months of not knowing what to do, there's this uncertainty that draws the energy, and then you start giving up things because you don't even know if what you're doing is right. So you need to have some system for learning too.
Nice. So to get started, first thing in the morning, keep it small, so this way you can crave to do more and you can accomplish it. And then also make it like the same time, same place. So this way there's that habit building. And then for consistency is on having a system for learning. A way so there's always new information coming in, keeping somebody excited, keeping somebody constantly like moving forward.
Right. So for example, one tip that I have here, when I want to learn something, so I spent the past month only learning about breathwork. I found that breathwork was something that was very amusing, but I didn't know much about. And I wanted to dive more into and practice more. I was practicing my own things, but what is there to know? So one of the things that I do is that I open Spotify. Spotify has now a lot of podcasts. Yes. And then I do a keyword search for breathwork. And there'll be a lot of podcasts on breathwork. And I add all of them to a playlist. And then when I'm walking to the park or coming back or doing something, that I'm listening to that playlist. And for an entire week, in my case, for an entire month, I am immersed in that one topic. There are many teachers, many techniques, and many things about breath work, and that expands. So now I know that I have some techniques that are for athletic performance. Some of them are for mindfulness. Some of them are more spiritual stuff. And then there is this teacher here called Patrick McKeown. That's for athletes. Dan Brule works with Tony Robbins that is more spiritual. And then there is Stanislav Grof that came up with holotropic reading, and then you get a book, and from there it goes on. So I love to listen to things, to learn. Build one playlist with one topic. If I want to lose fat, all right, put fat loss, make a YouTube playlist or a Spotify playlist or something like that. Marinate yourself in the knowledge first, and that will give you the next questions to move forward of what is it that you can learn to turn into actions for your routine.
I love that part about pick one thing and total immersion. Don't pick 4 things to learn about. This way you can really get it down. I love
learn so fast that way, man. so fast. It feels like 1 week you already know a lot of from 0 to 100 because you are doing it. And so I go a little bit beyond that, right? The first thing that I do is a playlist of Spotify, and then from there I am learning the subtopics of those things, and then I'm learning the teachers. So I have this guy, this guy, this guy. So then I go onto Instagram, I unfollow everyone, and I follow those teachers. So every time that I open Instagram in that 1 month or that 1 week, I'm learning something about, let's say, breath work or whatever topic that I'm into.
That's a unique strategy. So you unfollow the other followings so you can have all the information coming in to be about
from
that.
All sides.
Everywhere, right? That's all about the areas that you want to learn. So you're not just defaulting, constantly learning and being exposed to the same thing. Everything focused on that one area for this example.
Yeah, and then my environment is giving me more of that. So if I open Instagram, I'm scrolling that, I'm learning more about that thing too. If I open my Spotify, I'm learning about that too. And then I get the name of someone's book. And then I download. So everywhere I go, I am learning about that one thing that I want to learn.
I love that. That's genius, dude. That's really good. And that's something that somebody can apply right away. They have access to those resources. They can do it right away. They can go ahead and unfollow all the things that aren't making their life good, or even if it is good, too many things going on, and just narrow in and pick the ones that are most important.
Right. And if you don't want to unfollow your family and friends, you can build an Instagram account only for your learning, only to learn your teachers. Build like a Ronan learner, handle @Ronan learner, and then I just follow the teachers,
For all
the people, I don't need to unfollow my friends.
So serious that they're gonna get upset if you unfollow. But yes, well, dude, man, this has been so awesome, man. We can go on for another hour. I love this.
Totally.
If somebody wants to go and check out the stuff that you're putting out, how can they learn more about your content? Share us your YouTube channel, Instagram, all the social media handles.
Right. For the if there's anyone who speaks Portuguese, there is on Instagram at Ronan Diego BR. Or in English is Ronan Diego Insta on Instagram. And then on the Mindvalley YouTube channel, the official Mindvalley YouTube channel is where we are starting this YouTube show on health and fitness.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, brother.
This was amazing.
All right, brother.
Loved this conversation.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna have to do this again sometime soon, man.
For sure.
Thank you so much. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do an intro. I'm gonna do an intro really quick, and then we'll just put it into the front of the video.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So, this is a really, really good conversation. I really appreciate that, brother.
Oh, dude, it's been and I learned so much. You have really good content and so practical. And man, I feel like we're on the same path and just different perspectives and backgrounds. And so much.
And let me ask you this, brother. Where are you intending to go now? What are you focusing on? Are you intending to expand the flow, bring it to more people, or what are you focusing on?
My focus is to go and bring the practice and the training philosophy to more people. And the first plan right now is to bring it online and create a group. So we're in the process. We just got the web pages and everything just got done. And so we're planning out a day to make it live. So that people can join. People can join, and I can start connecting with them through lives and weekly lives and have a community around that. The thing after that is to go ahead and start certifying people. And that has vision the whole time is to duplicate myself and create a practice that people can be certified and people can learn how to teach it to others without having it to be so complicated that only very, very high level, fitness trainers and masters are able to pick it up. I want it to be easier, so this way more people can pick it up, while at the same time it is very effective. So having it to not depend so much on the teacher, but have it to be dependent more about the actual structure of the practice. So that's why everything is like there's a certain amount of moves, certain amount of times, there are certain cues that you'll say throughout the entire practice. So this way, if the teacher is okay, then the students are still able to get good results. And the teacher is really good, then then they'll get a lot of results. But not have to be dependent so on that. So this way it can spread. And one last thing is, to be honest, I
get it.
I want to find a way to have it to be, I do not want to have a really big paywall. I don't want to have a paywall in front. I want this practice to be available for everybody. And so there will be times where eventually my vision for this is to have it to be available for everybody and to have an incentive for people to be able to share this with their family and friends, and to have a community around inviting people over, like what I do in the morning time. People come by to their home, they do it together, and then everybody goes off to work and kind of start their day. But it becomes like these little mini groups throughout the world. People don't need to make money from it. They don't need to do anything. If we can create an incentive for them to do that, that would be great. That would be the most ideal. But I want it to be possible for everybody to be able to share it without having to be a trainer. Somebody can literally go, I learned this, it's really easy. Come friends, let's do it together. And have it to be safe enough to where, if they don't know all the things that people like you and I know, they're still able to share a practice and people are still able to benefit. So that's the vision of it, to just introduce these things to people and give them a very systematic way for them to apply. Because I know that once somebody starts doing all of these things, then they would think, just like how you said, they go, man, I want to go learn more about breath work because I'm doing a little bit of breath work every day and it's really helping me. Hey, I want to learn more about massage. I'm doing this tap massage. I feel like this little bit is making my body feel good. How can I learn more about doing more, and so forth, And now they start to open up their world.
So the two thoughts that came to me that I want to share with you. The first one is that I told you I'm doing something similar in Portuguese. It's not a flow training, but it's a morning routine, right? So it has exercise in it, has meditation, it has breath work, has some activation, it has also journaling, priorities for the day. And what I am thinking of doing, Niraj?
Yes.
So Niraj, what he did is that he got the whole breath work techniques, and he brought a soundtrack to it, right? Of course, he did more things, but this is one of the beautiful things that he did. And I was thinking, it would be really cool for that morning routine, because the morning routine starts with some body activation, and there is some meditation, and then there is a bit of low intensity movement, and then there's a tabata, and then there's a bit of breathing and meditation, and there is journaling, and then there's different levels of pace of activity. It would be really cool if I woke up and I had a 1 hour soundtrack that I play and I follow along. So there is, the meditation is a very easy song, and then maybe the breathing, it's pacing my breathing, and then the tabata is like 20 seconds on and then 10 seconds off, and then the breath hold again. So I was thinking it could be an idea to explore. If you having a flow going to a lot of people, you do a workshop, say, guys, this is the soundtrack. You play, is 1 hour, not only has your voice giving instructions, but also the song that moves with the pace of the exercises, and then gives the breathing, gives the tapping, gives the pace of the high exercise, and then the meditation at the end. And, everything that I need to do after I learn the flow is that I get the track, I play, and I do with it.
Yeah.
I think this is a thought that came to me. I wanted to offer you. Now, I don't know if it makes sense, but it could be something to think about. To me, to do the flow, it would be really cool. I could play this 1 hour Spotify track that gives me the instructions and the music that I follow with it.
Yeah, I love that.
The second thing, and the second thing is, I think you would really enjoy going to a place like Mindvalley University. Have you heard of it?
I heard of it where you spend a month and you connect with all the people.
Yeah.
There's all these activities. I'd never been to one though. But I've
So
heard of
this
it.
year is going to be in Amsterdam, and there's a bunch of people that go there. And not only is a bunch of people, is a bunch of people from different walks of life. So you have from entrepreneurs to health and fitness people to actors and actresses. Maybe like I met Olympian athletes and people from all types of digital nomads. That would be a really nice way of exposing the flow to people who are traveling, or people who are entrepreneurs, people from different ages, you know, people who are into art, people who are already into sport and things like that. And the opportunities that come there are, one, when you are part of that whole environment, a lot of people, there's the event itself that we put together, but then there are the parallel things, because there are a lot of brilliant people that go there and say, hey guys, this is what I do. I have this 1 hour flow. I would love to have you guys experience that together in the morning with me. And then there's someone that will come and tell you, oh yeah, cool. And I do the breath work, or I do NLP training or hypnosis. And then in the after we go there. So there is the whole organic stuff that started to be created on its own, and then the community gathers around this for a month. So that could be really cool. And the agenda for this one is closed, but maybe for next year or maybe for A-Fest in November, I would love to bring you to the agenda to facilitate this as part of the event. Then you can have like an official session where people come and you facilitate this to them. And then you can have the unofficial so Miraj does this thing, for example. He does a breath work in the morning. People know about him and say, guys, every Wednesday we're going to do breath work in that place.
And this is for A-Fest.
This is for Mindvalley University. That is in July. And then A-Fest is in November.
Yeah, and you
so
said
that could be another one too.
Nice. And which one you said was closed for this year or next time? Was that A-Fest or was that Mindvalley University?
For the Mindvalley University in July, the official agenda we closed already.
Yes.
I'm still to see if I will still have some more mornings for workouts and things. If I have, I'll let you know, and I'll ask you if you would like to give something there.
Awesome.
But if not, we can plan this for either A-Fest, maybe in November, or for Mindvalley University coming up.
Cool. Yeah, I love that. And especially it's Amsterdam, so it's on this side of the world. It works out perfectly, you know? Yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah, that sounds really awesome. I think it'll be a perfect way to be able to connect to like-minded people and to learn a lot, and at the same time be able to share, you know? Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And it is, the good thing is that people are living there for maybe 2-3 weeks or a month. And it can be cool that they do every day to get their day started. Right?
That would be cool. Well, thank you so much, man. This is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me know how that goes. And anytime you want to bounce any ideas or want to chat about any of these things, just WhatsApp me and we can chat about that. And happy to support where I can, bro.
For sure. Yeah, I'm glad we met. I think we are on the same page. We love the same things, and there's more to come.
Yes. All right, brother. Well, we'll talk soon, man.
Talk soon, brother.
Yes. Thank you, brother.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.